where the Spirit's uttering, where the Spirit's bringing words together? I think, honestly, yeah, I think it absolutely could be. Now, is that 10% of the time or is that 70% of the time? I don't know. I don't know, Ben. But what I can say is I have had him tell me things to pray, and what comes out is other language. And so even like this past Wednesday at youth, there was a young man that was sitting by himself and he was having a hard time. Or like during the meal time and the boys are out running around playing soccer and football and stuff, and he's just sitting by himself. And so I just went over and sat by him. And I asked if he's okay, and he said no. And I know this young man, and so we just connected a little bit, and then we walk inside, and it was so funny. I asked him, like the worship was just getting started, and he sat in the back, and I said, is it okay if I sit with you? And he said, no. I said, okay, buddy, no big deal. And so I just stood in the back and I felt this overwhelming compulsion to pray during worship. And so I did, and I'm praying in tongues. And immediately I could see what it was that I knew the words that I was praying and what I was asking for. And then it's almost like immediately I could see it come to fruition. It's like in my spirit, I could see Jesus walking. And I was asking, would you touch every one of these kids? Would you walk through each of the rows of chairs? Would you just touch them? Would you lay your hands on them and give them whatever encounter it is that they need, whatever connection they need, a healing touch or whatever? And then when it comes to this young man, at this point he had gotten up and walked to the front and sat in the front row. Would you do the same? But would you sit by him and put your arm around him and let him know that he's not alone, that he's not isolated? And I'm highly confident that was happening. And so, could you make up something in your own soul, in your own imagination, in your own conscious? Of course you can. I can imagine an apple. I can imagine myself biting the apple now, or peeling an orange, or I can imagine myself writing something. So you can absolutely do that in your own conscious. But so I think there's potential for that, which is why it's super helpful to have others that.
Well, it's also a I like to think of it as a muscle that we're all born with, but we are not utilizing. We're not
Developing.
practicing. We're not developing it. We're not exercising it.
I think where I've had so many times that played out like this, where I know this young man's mom and dad real well, and so I was going to text them. I was going to give him a day because I don't want to violate his trust, but also need to make sure that we can connect well with the parents and pass along information if it's heavy enough. So I wanted to give him an opportunity, and I was going to very lovingly, as best I could, connect with mom and dad.
Yeah.
And so before I even had him do that, his dad reached out to me and said, "Hey, he mentioned this happened, that you connected with him. I really appreciate it." And he said that during service, he was sitting in the back and then he moved to the front, and that during service, he began hearing God affirm him in the things that he was concerned about, and spoke truth over him to counter the negative things that he was thinking. And he felt God's presence just wash over him. And then he said he was fine.